This is 20 Rules of Blackness, and we are working alongside Real Black to bring you some movie discussions, right? So I'm Jason.
Manny.
Dominic.
And we are going to sit down and discuss movies that we've recently watched, black movies, and just give our thoughts on them. Hopefully we do a good job, you like it, leave it in the comments and tell us what you think, and we'll keep this going.
What is a black movie?
All through cinema, with the happy donkeys on the plantation who cried when master died, or sang when master was returning back to the plantation.
In my opinion, a black movie is a film where the cast is predominantly black and the directors, writers are black, preferably. If so, that makes it even better, makes it blacker. Yeah, what's your thoughts?
No, I think it's the same as what you said, but I feel like the writer has to be black. If the director's not black, the writer has to be black, because if a white person writes a black movie and puts black people in it, that's from a white person's perspective. So it's not really a black movie. It's a black film. Well, it's a film about black. It's a film about black people from a white person's perspective. So a black movie is written by a black person, and actually, to be honest with you, written by a black person, directed by a black person, even if 50% of the cast are white, because you could have a film where 50 people are white, 50 people are black. If the writer's a black person and the director's a black person, it's going to be told from a black perspective.
True.
So, you know, it's one. You could have you arguably could have a film where everyone's white, and if it's written by a black person and directed by a black person, again, it's from our perspective. So you might not see a black person in it, but you will tell that the film's told from a biased narrative.
But then how about this then? How about if it's a black writer and a black director and they're making a film about the Nazis?
I mean,
like Holocaust.
Yeah, well again, that is a black film.
That's
kind of mad in it, because that there, I couldn't really talk on. I don't know how many black people were in Nazi Germany. That's just I don't think that's a black film, that's just a film, and I think sometimes you've got to just have films as well.
Or it's just a love story as well. Two white people falling in love, written by a black man and written by
just a film. It's kind of just a film, innit? It's just a film.
So what's the definition of a black movie then?
So we talk about that little more.
Like the one thing I don't feel like neither of you said, for me, a black movie has to have some form of positive finish for black people.
I love you. I love you. I love you.
That's like, for me, that's key. That's what I would definitely class as black.
I would say, for me, it doesn't always have to. Like we was talking about the old film the other day, the one with the copper. Remember the Groundhog Day one?
Oh yeah,
and that didn't have no positive finish.
What's it called again? Distant Strangers.
Yeah. So for me, I don't think it always has to have a positive.
I haven't seen that.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't always have to have a positive end, because sometimes the end's not positive. We're still in a world where racism still exists, and I think what that film did to portray that, as much as him and the cop got on, when it come down to exactly. So it doesn't always still have to have one. So I just think ultimately.
No, but that finished positive. That
finished positive.
That finished positive, because he said, whatever happens, the black man is still like, no matter what you do, I'm getting home to my dog.
I don't know. One way or another, I'm getting home to my dog.
So you're saying Distant Stranger ended as a positive ending?
When I say positive, I don't mean obviously they ran off, but what I'm saying is it's a positive way to look at the troubles you face.
In that respect,
that's
he maintained a positive outlook, but overall, the actual him getting licked down was the last thing that actually happened. But I do get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I do think that it would be good to finish on a more positive note, generally, because it's what we need. Do you know what I'm saying to you? But at the same time, sometimes it can't always.
There's very few black films that finish on a positive.
But it can't always be a positive note, can it? So I think
why?
No, because it can't, because nothing is. Do you get me?
Look at the yin and yang, isn't it? Always has to be balanced.
Yeah.
Right? White films There's
But I
far
said you
more.
can't always.
But what
I
is
said
far
you
more?
can't
Hold
always.
on. This is what I'm saying.
What is a white
Clear.
film?
What is a white
It's a film.
The reason why I
That's what
asked
they
this.
say. Universal film, don't they?
Yeah, but the reason why I asked this, is because I was conversating with one of my white friends, and then I just threw the term away naturally as, oh yeah, a black film.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, well,
What's a black film?
What
It's
is
true.
a black film?
It's
Do you know
true.
what I mean? Because he didn't know that. Do you know what I mean? He didn't know that, but he
I'll tell you
genuinely didn't know.
I'll tell you what else a black film is to me, personally. And I want to say, I strongly maintain that there should be no such thing as a black film. We should just make films. Do you get me? That's the aim, I think, yeah? But I'll tell you what a black film is to me as well as everything that everyone else is saying, but something I've always considered a black film to be. You see, when we used to talk about on the slave ships, yeah, and the slaves used to dance to communicate with each other. So if they're going to try and overthrow the captain, yeah, and take control of the ship, they'd have to do it in forms of Negro spirituals, or they're singing, or they're dancing, yeah. I feel like a black film is something that also communicates something to black people at a deeper level. And even like that message that Dominic said, he said, no matter what you do, I'm getting home to my dog. Yeah, someone might just take that as, oh, that was a cool line to throw in the end, but no, for a black person, that's like, no matter how many times these people get on you, yeah, right, you've got to just keep on pushing and get to where you're going. You know what I'm saying? So that is also what a black film is. There will always be something deeper going on than just what's on the surface value. Hence, Get Out. Do you get me? That's why they had all that stuff. Your eyes, you don't use your eyes properly. He didn't use his legs properly. Do you get what I'm saying? To these attributes that we have that other people can't have. They want our attributes, but they don't want us necessarily. Do you know what I'm saying?
Who came up with the idea of black film in the first place?
I just think it's just something that became a term in it. Because let's be honest, if you're watching, this is what I say for black people, when you're watching something like Dolomite, yeah, or flipping Foxy Brown, yeah, they're black exploitation films, correctly put as black exploitation, because they're exploiting black people. But at the same time, black people,
were they?
Yeah, but no,
These films, they help quell those riots. Because remember, we had the Kerner Commission studying why we had all these riots. These films helped to calm that down. I called it rioting in the movie theaters. Because all of our anger and our angst, we were able to vent in seeing people who look like us kick the white man's behind. And what was the subtitle of blaxploitation? Get whitey. For every drop of black blood spilled, a white man pays. He had a plan to stick it to the man. The man. See, we were beating the man.
Minority. So in terms of blaxploitation, what is interesting was that drug dealing aspect, that prostitution aspect. Yeah, but I bet you there was far more normal black people that did a job than were prostitutes or drug dealers. But those were the films that blew up. Because at the end of the day, people like a bit of, what is it, I mean, your geezer, what he says about devastation or them things there, that's what people like, conflict.
Charles Woods.
Right.
Many people saw it and they viewed it critically in a pejorative sense, where it was just exploitation, sex and violence, and it had a theme of hate. The guilty pleasure for me as a person who grew up on not seeing any bold blackness, we enjoyed it because it was an opportunity to see sexy black women, sexy black men, but overall, it was too much pimps, pushers, and prostitutes.
Alright, so this is where the conflict in films comes from. So I'm not saying it was kind of exploiting us, and I think in a way we were exploiting in those films, but I also believe that in order for anything to work out, it has to be a struggle in it. So our struggle was to have to do those kind of shitty films about that aspect of our existence. Do you get me?
But they weren't all like that though.
No.
Get your education, boy, she used to say. Because that's the only thing the white man can take away from you. And she was right.
Not all of them were, but the ones, if there was one, like for argument's sake, when blaxploitation films first come out, if there was one that was kind of, and don't get me wrong, there were films that came a little bit afterwards, like with Bill Cosby and like, what's his name? It was Bill Cosby and someone else, he was like these comedy ones, but...
Yeah, Sidney Poitier.
Yeah, Sidney Poitier,
Bill
but just
Cosby.
before them ones, right, with the blaxploitation aspect, yeah, like, A normal film about a positive black family. Like, what's that one they play at Christmas, the black and white one? Like, the guy, I forgot his name.
Oh,
you know,
I know what you mean.
you know, brother, what's his name? You gotta find it.
One where he dies and he comes back in.
If we had one of these,
What's it called? A Wonderful Life.
A Wonderful
Yeah,
Life.
Wonderful
Do you
Life,
think
yeah.
if we made the Wonderful Life here, it'd be getting any watches? And obviously that was way before blaxploitation, but no one ain't gonna watch that. We might watch it, but the TV wasn't for us. So it had to be something here that we would watch, but also they might be able to watch and have that voyeuristic insight into what they think black life is, which is why now to this day we are over-sexualized, and men are over-sexualized, women are over-sexualized. That's why when you see a woman in the newspaper, right, a black woman, sultry, exotic, not just beautiful. She can't just be beautiful, she can't be sultry or exotic or whatever, but no, she's actually just beautiful. Do you get me? And we've been indoctrinated by that as well, but if you put another woman in the bed, she's beautiful. Do you get me? So there was an exploitation, but at the same time, I know we had to go through that in order to get to where we are today. Because if we didn't go through that, then we'd be going through it now. So this is progression, this is how things go forward to the point where more of us are in the film, that we can actually make a black film. Do you get me? We can actually make a black film. I'm sure that when Poitier and flipping Cosby were making those, they probably wanted to make more ideas like similar to the Cosby Show pod, but even then it was kind of like white boys in those films. They were funny, but they weren't like working at flipping, they weren't working on Wall Street, were they?
Come on, loan me some money. Hell no. Come on, man. Got to be crazy.
Right? Written by, directed by, starring by.
Depends. It has to be told from a black perspective.
Has to be a story told from a black perspective. That's our definition of a black movie. Okay. So
By a black person as well.
I think starring is quite essential, personally.
Thank you, Stephen. You're welcome, Calvin.
As I said, I don't know, because again, maybe, but if you got, I don't know, if you got two films about two boxers, right, one white one, one black one, and it's equally weighted, but it just looks at, I don't know, maybe racism in boxing, but it's both like.
doesn't have to be a black story though.
But that's what I'm trying to say. So you've got a white star and a black
Yeah.
star. It doesn't. I don't think you necessarily have to have an all black cast.
No, not all, but
it
it
could have
needs
one.
to have.
I mean, what about if the film was about? What if the film was told by a black person, written by a black person, and it was about a town or a city in the UK or the US where they got rid of black people? There was no black people in it. It was just all white people. Would that be a black film? Would it be a white film if it was written by a black person and directed by a black person?
I think it needs to be a black story though.
Yeah, but then wouldn't it be a black story if all these white people got rid of all the black people, told from a black perspective?
There's no black people.
It doesn't have to be, does it? Because we'd be telling you how they got rid of us without actually having to see us.
Yeah, I think you also need to see yourself on screen though, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I just
It's a black film.
I don't know, because it is a black film. I still think it's a black film. If you watch the film that happened after the flipping Holocaust, right? Say it was a Holocaust and all Jews were killed, yeah, it was told and written by a Jewish person. What would that be? Would that be a white film? Or would that be a Jewish film?
You know what? I've got an idea. Let's ask you. Put it in the comments. What do you think? What's your definition of a black film? We want to know. We clearly can't make our minds up and decide.
Yeah.
To see if you can decide for us. Okay?
Black, black, black. Black on black, black.